this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
Oh, no.
We return to our planet. The High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobuki Jake, and we're here to show you what they got. Well, today we have some fun stuff to throw out there. A lot of cool things, but alas, no Gundam.
Alas.
But here are some things that we think you'll like.
I got a problem, it's times two. You love just one, I love two. My heart's a ball, rolling down the alley, but I can't stop loving the both of you. I can't help it, one won't do. Love geometry, 'cause both lines point to me. Oh Sally, oh Sue, imagine the things we could do. Oh Sally, oh Sue, could it be just the three of us? Could it be just the three of us? You want me to pick, you need me to choose. But for me, that just won't do. I got a solution, kind of a compromise. I'll split my heart directly in two. How about we just sleep on it? The three of us, how about we just sleep on it? Just the three of us, how about we just sleep on it? Just the three of us, just the three of us, just the three of us, oh yeah. Oh Sally, oh Sue, imagine the things we could do. Oh Sally, oh Sue, could it be just the three of us? Oh Sally, oh Sue, imagine the things we could do. Oh Sally, oh Sue, could it be just the three of us? Could it be just the three of us? Be just the three of us. Truths, all the lies you tell, so the streams of light shining on you. Don't show your dark soul hidden behind your fake smile. White lies, they protect me from the little things that hurt me. Trust me, I said, sure thing, baby. You lied, you lied, you lied. You the big ones too. I feel like you owe me more than what you're showing me. 'Cause you lied, you lied, you lied. You lied, you lied, you lied. Oh baby, you lied, you lied, you lied to me. Where were you the last we spoke? I'm guessing lying on a dime, cruising the town with Johnny. Zoe told me she had seen you around. Trust me, she said. I said sure thing, baby. But
That's a lot of stuff here today. So I guess
It
I'll
is.
go ahead and I'm going to take this out of this full screen here, bring this up so Kotobuki Jake can follow us along, and let's go on ahead to our tier master. As you can see, the tier master is master of all.
Yeah.
So today we have, of course, our main categories that we put things in, and this is our opinions. They do not reflect the opinions of the wide public, but because Jake and I have such differing opinions, we figure that if they can come together, maybe they'll reflect more of the public. So
Right.
we try to take the average of our two views. Of course, our top tip-top we both have to fully agree on, which is priority, which means it must be gotten. Oh yes, it will be mine.
Yes, it will be.
Then of course there's yes please. You'd like to have it. It would definitely be great, but maybe not for that price. There are actually quite a few of not for that price today. Curious, looks interesting. Definitely piques that interest. It might be worthwhile, might be worth checking out. Meh. I'd buy that for $1. Or for free. Give it to me for free. But otherwise, not really a lot of interest. And then hell no. Again, we both have to agree
Hell no.
that nobody wants this. We don't want this. We wouldn't even take it for free.
Right.
All right. So I guess we'll get started. I'll let you go ahead and start us off.
Okay, we're going to start off with yet another release from Warner Archives, and this is the Oscar-nominated film After the Thin Man with William Powell and Myrna Loy, also James Stewart. I forgot he was in that. Alyssa Landy, Jesse Ralph, etc., etc., etc. It is New Year's Eve. Nick and Nora Charles have returned to the West Coast, and the philandering hubby of Nora's cousin has gone missing. Round up the usual suspects. Then it says the stars, including the four-footed one, writers and director of The Thin Man, reunite for a giddy second comedy whodunit. I have never seen the Thin Man movies. If I remember correctly, I think there's several of them actually. But this particular one is, like I said, an Oscar nominee. And it is a series that I very much intend to see eventually. Looking here on Amazon, there is a complete Thin Man collection already in release.
Oh.
This is just one piece of the series, so it's less important to me as an individual item. But the series overall, I do intend to get eventually. I am going to call it a yes, please.
All right, interesting. You know, I was the Thin Man once, but then I got old.
Yes.
I was looking around.
Actually, for me, it was, and then I went to college. And then I got old.
So let's see here. So you said yes, please.
Yeah.
Did it win any Oscars?
I don't recall if it won, but I think it might have. Let me see.
It's a hard one for me.
Let's see here. No, it was just a nomination. I think it was for Scream. Yeah, Best Writing.
I mean, it definitely has my curiosity up, but not enough that I would wish list it. So I'll probably put it there. Maybe
Okay.
when the collection comes out, if it's at a decent price, it might raise it up, but I don't know. It just
Right.
all right. So one that I'm sure you're going to have in your
Yeah.
priority list. As per usual, I try to throw on some ones that I'm kind of iffy about, just so we can kind of have close to the same number of discussion topics. And this is the AGFA Horror Trailer Show. So, some fun stuff there. Let's take a look at some of these little pictures here. Got this dude. He looks like he's having fun.
Looks like it.
And, of course, Monkey Satan. And
Ugh.
we got some Super Dog and Texas Schooner. Looks interesting. We got ourselves that looks creepy right there. That's nice,
That looks just as creepy.
Of course, as per usual, this is, what happens when you stay up too long watching a TV. You start wearing a toga and sitting in a box.
Yeah.
And then you got some, vampire women, which nobody can go without that. So, Unleashed from the Dungeons of American Genre Film Archives, which is what the AGFA stands for, is a senses-shattering compilation of the most spine-ripping, slime-slinging, soul-shredding horror trailers you've ever seen. Meticulously constructed with mad scientists at AGFA to resemble an otherworldly night at the drive-in. Okay, so I'm going to say I used to not have any interest in these. There was a time when I was just like, I'd rather have the films. But some of these films don't exist anymore. A lot of the films that they show on these things, they were created, and the films were lost, they were burned, they were destroyed. And there was another one that I had, I think it's Mad Ron's or something like that did trailers from hell. And it's really cool seeing these old trailers for things, because it gives you an idea as to the times, as to what was going on, and some cases even makes you say, I really wish this was available. So it's just kind of cool looking at it. It's a piece of film history. I'm not sure I can say yes, please, though it's a very high curious for me.
And this was a Vinegar Syndrome release?
Yeah. And,
Okay.
it's one that's probably going to be on my list for the next Black Friday sale or big sale they have. Vinegar Syndrome has a huge representation this week.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
But they do have some things that come out that I do like, and they put together a very high quality product.
Now, I have to admit, what you said about the history of it is an interesting concept to do something like this.
It's just trailers, not like the film itself. So
Right. And I was going to say, this looks like you could think of it almost as an anthology film. And like any anthology film, you're going to have a mixed bag. Like, I saw a couple of those images and said, yeah, that looks interesting. And a couple of them, I was like, hell no. So overall, given the collectability of the set and the fact that it could be a bit of movie history and parts of it should be entertaining, I'm going to go with meh.
All right. I'll take it down. All right. There we go. And what
Next up, we have the most important item of the week, theoretically. We have Sentai Filmworks is doing a 1 and 2 season set, which surprises me because I don't think they've done individual collections for this one. Am I right?
I hadn't heard of it. I'd never heard of it until now. So,
but they're doing a full-on 2-season with English dub release of the series Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'll do anything to become a librarian. This one is one that I have heard a lot about. It has been a very high-profile series. It's an interesting twist on the isekai genre where a bookworm, 20-something bookworm or whatever, uh, is dies and is born into another world. I think she enters it at age 5. So it's basically a child as your protagonist for the series, but it's a world basically with almost no books. Think like a medieval setting where maybe like the clergy could read. So you got this person who's obsessed with books, born into a world without them, and basically makes it her life's mission to spread the good word, if you will. That's my understanding of it. I have not actually seen the show, but I just heard so much good things about it. The manga and the anime are both very popular right now, so it has been on my radar. And I will get this. I'm not going to pre-order it because I almost never do. And I'm actually shocked that Sentai isn't going all in with a limited set. I would pre-order the limited set of this if it was up.
Yeah,
so I don't know if that qualifies it for priority, but I will definitely. It is a yes, please, and it is one that I will buy as soon as I can get it for under 20.
Yeah, I'm sure if you hear that it's going to go out of print, you'll probably grab it up.
Oh yeah, I'll do that too.
So for me, I had this is the first time I've heard of this series actually. So
you've never heard of this series?
Nope. Which is strange.
You must not be watching Anime America right now.
Yeah, that's the thing is whenever it's like news. Now, when they're talking about 2020 stuff, I usually don't because I don't care as much about new releases because I've got so much to catch up to.
Right.
It's only when something like is like majorly hot in the collector scene or on the physical market that I am usually involved. And so that's why I haven't heard of it. Looks interesting, but I really can't go above a curious until I know more. But I'll still put it down to a yes, please.
Right.
It looks interesting. It's not enough that I'm going to be going. I'm going to watch it and need to get it. But yeah.
Oh, starting off with a balanced.
Yeah, I was thinking it's pretty good there. All right, moving right along.
Ooh.
I need to make sure I balance my shelf out there. It looks like that DVD's about to fall. So once I'm done with this one, I have a feeling I'm going to be making sure that nothing's going to fall. Especially since that's a steel book, and that can do damage if that falls. Any case, Batman Soul of the Dragon. So, have you ever wondered what it would be like to have Batman and Bruce Lee in the same adventure? Me neither, but we did get that. Hey, I mean, if Superman can fight Muhammad Ali in a boxing match, I mean, it's always there, you know? So I
didn't read anything that it was explicitly Bruce Lee, but apparently one of the characters is explicitly modeled on what was it, Michael Williams or whatever that was in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, there's definitely a heavy Bruce Lee vibe coming from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It looks interesting. I like these type of Batman movie. I really do like the animated Batman tales. So they are
more of a Bruce Wayne than Batman, but yeah.
It is. It looks like fun. It looks entertaining. It's something that it will be on my radar. I'm not sure if it's like a must-have. But it's something I'm going to keep on my radar. Probably a Black Friday get.
Right.
So it'll probably be a yes, please, because it'll be sitting on my wish list for a while.
I have to concede this is probably one that I will get just because of, Batman animated movie. It's on the border between curious and yes, please. I would not rush to get it. And even on Black Friday, I'd probably wait till I could get it for $7 or so, but I think I will get it eventually, so we'll go with yes, please.
All right. And while you do this, I'm going to run over to save my collection.
All right. Well, next up, we have something that I've never heard of before. It's apparently a Finnish series, a murder mystery series called Border Town. I think they're up to season 2 right now. Season 1 is getting a release from Kino Lorber. So there you have a couple of oddities. You have a TV series getting a Kino Lorber release, which is unusual, not unheard of, but unusual. And it's a Finnish series. And I really would like to improve my overall knowledge of what am I trying to say? Foreign television. That's what I was trying to say. I know crime thrillers are not everyone's favorite. I think Brandon would have already said meh if he was over here. I think the fact though that I've never seen a Finnish TV show really has me curious about it. So I will give it a strong curious.
This one was a little bit harder to find because there is a Western series called Border Town. I don't know if you covered that earlier. I was fixing my shelf. But there is a Western series called that keeps coming up. So you might have to, if you're looking for this, go directly through the Blu-ray.com. If I see any others that are like that, I'll make sure to...
Kino release. Go to their webpage and it's super easy to look up.
I am at a low curious. What did you put yours at?
Curious.
Okay, so I'm at a low curious. I'm not a huge fan of these things, but it's one I'd be willing to check out. Almost a meh, but I'm willing to concede it for the time being. I like the cover anyway.
Yeah.
And having that Russian border thing does bring it up. Because it's not just simply like Law and Order stuff, so.
Right.
All right. So, come play. They look like they're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's see here. So, we got here, desperate for a friend, Oliver, a lonely young boy who feels different from everyone else, seeks solace and refuge in his ever-present cell phone and tablet. When a mysterious creature uses Oliver's devices against him to break into our world, Oliver's parents must fight to save their son from the monster beyond the screen. I think this is kind of an interesting commentary on, well, our dependence on modern things.
Right.
It has almost a Babadook look to it. I don't know if you're looking at these things as I'm showing them off, but it does sort of have a Babadook type feel.
Right.
Again, this is one I kind of put in here for filler, but it does interest me at a curiosity level.
My initial reaction was pretty negative, but for some reason, I'm not 100% sure what I saw that made me think that. But for now, I'm going to go meh.
All right.
It doesn't excite me, but it's one I could I would maybe accept.
Yeah, it looks more of like a supernatural horror, not a disgusting horror.
Right, exactly. Okay, so next up we have case file number 221, Kabukicho, Season 1, Part 2.
Yay!
Yes, because Funimation loves to do that stupid stuff.
Only $50.
But of course we yeah, for Part 2. So we covered Part 1, it was like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago at all. Like I said, this looks like it's supposed to be basically, okay, so Irene Adler is involved. I don't remember reading that before. So basically, it's a Nipponicized rendition of the Sherlock Holmes stories. I really don't know much about it beyond that, but that does have me intrigued. I believe I said before that I am very curious about this, but not interested in playing along with this split season thing. I will get it when it becomes a full season. So I think I could call it Yes Please because I think I will get it eventually, but and I'm not in a hurry.
Again, as I said last time, I am not exactly. It's got a mild interest by me, but until I see more about it, until I feel like it's definitely getting a full season release, and again, I just maybe if it becomes an essentials, because I don't know, this thing could run for like, for all I know, it could run for 10 seasons.
Unlikely, but you never know.
You never know. But it's more of a curious for me.
Okay.
Moving on.
Ah,
A very well-loved film, The Jester, is getting one of those Paramount Presents releases.
Worcester.
So The Court Jester is a Danny Kaye film that is one of his better-known films, actually. He was a pretty...
I don't recall that I'd heard of it.
Wow, I'm surprised. Because whenever I would look into Danny Kaye's film career, this was one of the ones that would come up. White Christmas, of course, most people know him for White Christmas.
Right.
He's also known for his comedy, his singing, and his dancing. But, he was more of a comedic actor. And this is one of his bigger ones. I love the way that they do these releases. I'll have to get one of these one day, and this might be the one, because it is on my list to get, because it is an important film. So let's take a look at what it is. Celebrating its 65th anniversary. Whew, nice. Paramount's beloved Mad Cat musical debuts on Blu-ray, beautifully remastered from a 6K film transfer. Yeah, that 4K is a thing of the past. The original Vista Vision negative in this swashbuckling comic farce stars Danny Kaye is a kind-hearted entertainer, Hawkins, who disguises himself as the legendary king of jesters, Giancomo. Hawkins infiltrates the court of an evil villain, played by Basil Rathbone, which is also a great actor to have in your collection. So when a sorceress hypnotizes him, royal chaos ensues, alternating identities at the snap of a finger between swordsplay and wordplay. Kaye's comic genius shines through. The stellar supporting cast includes Glynis Johns, Angela Lansbury, Mildred Natwick, Cecil Parker, and John Carradine. And like I said, Danny Kaye is an amazing actor, fairly good singer, and great dancer. So I imagine, and it's been a long time since I've seen this film, that it would be a great thing to have in the collection. I will say that it is on my wish list and will get a yes please from me.
Now, again, I have to admit that I am not familiar with this one. It does amuse me that we did two in a row that have that Sherlock Holmes connection, because, of course, Basil Rathbone is well known for those movies, or whatever it was. It does have a pretty awesome cast. And you're right, I like the format of this release. It is a tempting way to go ahead and get it. I'm kind of on the fence between a yes please and a curious. I can't say with absolute certainty that I would go out of my way to get it. I want to, but I can't say that it's that high a priority. So I will go curious, but it's right on the border.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
moving right along.
Moving right along, indeed. And we have The Changing Times of Ike White, which this listing I found was DVD only. Is that correct, or do we
It's
know?
DVD
Yeah.
only.
So, released in 1976, Changing Times was an extraordinary album recorded in extraordinary circumstances, a commercial release recorded inside an American prison. The artist was Ike White, a music prodigy who was locked up at 19, serving a life sentence for murder. So basically, this charts his journey from prison life to life as a free man. reinvention of himself as a performer for hire called David Maestro. I'm not that sure that I'm familiar with Ike White, honestly, but I love, as I've said before, I love a good music doc. This looks like it could be. It looks like it's an interesting subject for a documentary, if nothing else. Kind of reminds me in some ways of Searching for Sugar Man and some of what I'm reading about that. So I don't know. It could be pretty interesting. I'm definitely curious.
Normally, I am not a huge person for music docs. It really just depends doc to doc, really. But the story itself does intrigue me a little bit. So I'm willing to go with a curious, because it's not one that I'm just like, whatever. It's one that's like, I could be interested in this. So yeah, I'll leave it at a little curious. All right. Cthulhu Mansion.
Oh boy.
Only at Vinegar Syndrome. I always like these Lovecraftian horror pieces. I mean, if you can see some of the stuff I'm flipping through, looking at these pictures, as you can see, oh, look at that, like the little claws coming from behind the refrigerator.
Oh boy.
The blood shower. Well, he's not having a good time. She looks okay. And then all of this. Man, he looks like he probably is dead after that happening. That's
probably.
So, you got a lot of cool things. He looks like he's not had a good day. And, boom, Cthulhu on fire. So, after a drug deal gone wrong, a group of punks attempt to flee local amusement park by taking a mysterious old mansion named Chandu and his beautiful daughter hostage. Magician, this is. While trying to evade the police, the punks force Chandu to take them to his secluded mansion, where they plan to seek refuge for the night and wait for the heat to die down. Unbeknownst to them, Chandu's obsession with black arts and occult has summoned an evil that not even he can control, as the house itself begins to terrorize and kill the trespassers. The survivors desperately attempt to uncover the horrifying secret of the mansion's magical spells, along with Chandu's own dark past. I have a very deep fascination with these types of films, and I've gotten to really like them over the years. I also like most things when it comes to Lovecraft, because it deals with a lot of themes that are kind of cool to have together, like madness and just and looking to see what's real, what's not. That is something cool for me. It's not one I'm going to get right away, and if it goes out of print, it goes out of print. But it is one that I have on my radar to get. So if I see it for a deal, I definitely will get it. So that's kind of the definition of a yes, please. So I will probably put it there. I don't think it'll stay there, but...
No. I'm going to admit, when I was doing my research for this week, I kind of skipped right over almost all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff, just because the cover art I looked at and said, yeah, no. But then when I was just looking this one up while you were talking, this one looks like it might be doable. And again, I understand that the Vinegar Syndrome stuff is highly collectible in a lot of ways. As a movie collector and as a fan of giving these things a home somewhere, I definitely don't want to write it off totally. I would not pay much for this, but if I had a chance at this for $5, yeah, I'd get it. So I'll go, man.
Right. Hey, it takes it down to curious.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, now this is a curiosity on multiple senses of the term. Doom Patrol, complete second season, and isn't that just a lovely cover there? But so anyway, this is, I believe, am I correct? One of the shows that is original to DC's streaming service, I believe.
Correct. That
And
one,
there are
Teen Titans, and actually
Right.
Stargirl was kind of split, so although I think it debuted on their streaming.
Did it? Okay. Well, Doom Patrol complete second season. DC's strangest group of heroes are back again to save the world, if they can find a way to grow up, both figuratively and literally. Now, what absolutely fascinated me about I'd heard about this series, and I'd heard that it was good, but I hadn't really looked all that much into it. It was just kind of there. But it is a well-rated. I like the one line on IMDb: the adventures of an idealistic mad scientist and his field team of superpowered outcasts. But what fascinates me completely is the cast. You have Alan Tudyk is, I think, the main guy that brings them all together, if I'm not mistaken. But you've got Brendan Fraser and Timothy Dalton co-starring. I mean, that alone is enough to be like, okay, I gotta give this a try. Because they're, in a way, two high-profile outcasts as actors. Edward Asner shows up in an episode. You got, other folks who probably show up once or twice as the show goes on. You probably get some interest. But anyway, an interesting cast, an interesting concept. I will be getting this eventually. I'm not prioritizing it, but I will get it eventually. So we can. I could probably call it a yes, please, because if I can get it for, I would be willing to pay a few bucks, but not a huge amount.
So let's see here. So I have been kind of sort of on the fence for this. I've heard so many good things. Like Teen Titans, I've been much more on the fence for because I've heard more mixed things. I've heard that it's really good, but there are some things.
You don't want to confuse the folks.
Well, Teen Titans is what's based off of, yeah.
Right, but that confuses people because there's at least two different series, right? That would, but anyway.
It's this one though is on my eventually to get list. So since it's on my wish list, it's maybe not in the near future, but it will be mine eventually, so long as it remains in print. So I guess I can leave it at yes, please, for that.
All right.
And back to Vinegar Syndrome again.
Yeah, I know. Dark Tower.
Actually,
but not the one you were thinking.
Actually, to tell you the truth, if I wasn't trying to match stuff up, I'd probably have a few fewer of these. But Dark Tower, it reaches heaven and touches hell.
Yeah.
Recently completed luxury high-rise in the center of Barcelona becomes the scene of an apparent accident, which causes the death of a construction worker. However, witness Carolyn Page is adamant that someone, or something, else is responsible. Finding an unlikely ally in Dennis Randall, a grizzled cop now working as a private security consultant, the two decide to launch their own investigation into the mysterious goings-on in the building. But it's not long before another grisly accidental death occurs. Dun, dun. Again, very pretty artwork. Your Vinegar Syndrome stuffs. Oh, that guy looks like he's not having a good day.
Probably not.
Oh, charming fellow.
Probably. Yes.
Let's see here. We got her there. Of course, somebody upset about stuff going on. and
Really?
more of the zombie creature things. So, you know, I like these type of films. I would definitely, I would enjoy it. I'm not sure it's on my list or anything strongly, but it's a definitely strong curious for me.
Well, kind of like I said before, I wouldn't turn it down if it was given to me. It's collectible. I do like the cover art. It's kind of cool. So, meh.
All right, down it goes.
Mhm.
All right, Ty.
Okay. Okay, next up we have Eddie's Kingdom, which is a documentary, apparently. The government stole Eddie Hamer's island. His obsession with Rattlesnake Island led him to take hostages, threaten letter bombs, plan attacks on government, lose his family, and his sanity. He wants his island back. At his side on this quest is his daughter Fadwa, the only family member who still talks to him. I don't know. I don't know what I would think of this, but just the basic idea behind it intrigues me. The fact that it is supposedly a documentary based on a real story, it intrigues me. I don't know what I will ultimately make of this, but I'm certainly curious.
Let's see, what's the price? 38.
Yeah, I'm not that curious.
That's a low curious for me. I can keep it there.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Rattlesnake Island and what you know.
Exactly.
It doesn't look like much. I mean, this is what it looks like.
No.
It is kind of...
Yeah,
Maybe it's like a lot of rattlesnakes or something.
I guess.
So, another Vinegar Syndrome, but this one's a little bit more widely available. Don't Panic. I almost passed this one by, but again, I was looking for fillers, so I was like, yeah... This is one of those where a guy is given a Ouija board and, you know, nothing positive ever comes from
Stuff
contacting
happens.
the dead.
Oh, Eduardo Noriega's in that one.
So, you know, it's not... It's not like something that I'm not that I'm super interested in. I'm kind of minorly interested in it, but enough to say curious because I would get it for a decent price. But
Who's the releaser on this?
I'm pretty sure it's Vinegar Syndrome.
That's what I was thinking, but yeah.
I like to show the ones that are not available exclusively on their site if they are available more wide release wise. And this one is, so I just like to throw that out because it's probably not as collectible when it's released widely, but it's still there, so a little bit better. Not going to get it for 30 though. Probably curious for me. Yep, figured as much. Hey, I got to see the heights for a little bit. I got to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Look up and it could see. Now I can't because the curious is overshadowing it.
Yeah. All right. Good news, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
So good news. Another Warner Archives release starring June Allison and Peter Lawford. With boundless enthusiasm and enough jive to meld 20s flapper giddiness with 40s swing, 1947's Good News, the directing debut of Charles Walters, and screenwriting debut of Betty Comden and Adolph Green, is one of the best of the lighthearted, rah-rah collegiate musicals. The song "Pass That Peace Pipe" was nominated for original song. Now, there are a lot of reasons why I suspect that this is a movie that doesn't hold up so well. The title of that song is part of it. But it was an Oscar nominee, so by definition, I have to give it a yes, please. Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be up at that height too long. It'll be able to see all the high stuff from where it's going, though. I can't say it's a hell no, because I would watch it. But at the same time, I really have very little interest in this. So meh. Which will
Yeah. All right.
it has to kind of run to get over here.
Yeah.
All right, T. All right, Fade to Black. Another Vinegar Syndrome release. This one has me super interested. I mean, this is about a killer who is fascinated with old school horror films. So he dresses up as the horror movie monsters and kills people while he's dressed up as that. So, you've got like here, this guy here. You've got the kind of as he's dressing up as a vampire for it. I love the film connection bent. The film itself is an exquisite piece. I love the slasher element. This one, the only reason why I did not get this when they had their big limited release earlier on was because I already have it. And I didn't want to spend the extra money. Though, if it's on sale, and I did not have it, I would have picked this right away. It's not going to last there very long. But I am going to put this up here because it is a cool-looking slasher film. It's not super over-the-top bloody, but it's such an intriguing film. So cool.
Now, when you say not super over-the-top bloody, what kind of blood level are we talking?
Basic stab slash, Halloween level type.
Halloween level? Okay. Well, I will admit I like the premise. I'm wondering if I wonder if the makers of Durara saw this, because they had that one killer that was dressing up as the...
It could be. This is actually considered a film that defined some movies afterwards.
I think because I like the cover art, and again, it could be semi-collectible, and because we'll probably eventually have to hit it on Movies Galore if it is that big of a slasher film, I will definitely give this a little bit more interest, and I like the premise. It's an interesting premise. I will give this one a curious.
All right. This gets down to yes, please. Woo!
All right.
All righty.
Yeah. Now we have Hot Money. Just like that title. That's a fun title.
Cool cover.
Hot Money. Yeah, it is an interesting cover too. Confused by the economy, derivatives, cost of energy, and taxes? You are not alone. Untangle the realities of the global financial system and its relationship to government, politics, and climate change, with all the humor of a New Yorker cartoon. That does sound interesting to me. It could be interesting. It could be that it's not that great, that it's trying to be better than it is, but it sounds like a documentary worth watching. I'm definitely going to give it a curious.
I'm not going to... I won't disagree. It looks interesting. And... Because I think I've seen at least one Oscar winner that was a big economic... I can't remember which one it was, but I remember it was very informative, but it was boring. So, if I was to...
Was that an Inside Job?
I think it was Inside Job. It was very informative. A lot of good information, but good God, it was... I had to stop it and start it again.
That was one of the things I gave The Big Short. The Big Short was about some of the most boring subject matter imaginable, but even the book was entertaining, and the movie was much more entertaining than the book. So I definitely give both Michael Lewis and Adam McKay some props with that.
So, if they can take a lot of these subjects and make them entertaining and fun, then I would give this high marks, but I don't know until I see it. So curious.
Exactly. Okay.
Family Portraits, Trilogy of America. Again, I'm not a huge one on this, Over the course of 7 years, 3 short films about brutal dissolution of the American family, Cutting Moments, Home, and The Prologue, elicited both horrified gasps and standing ovations at film festivals around the world. When combined into the theatrical feature, this trilogy by writer, producer, director, editor Douglas Buck, whose directing credits would eventually include the Sisters remake and The Accident segment of Theater Bizarre. A little coverage for later. Was hailed as nightmarish, like Todd Solondz on crack, and the most chilling portrait of the loss of humanity in the manicured lawns of Middle America ever made. Unbearably intense and enormously moving. Stunner, so, you know...
Todd Solondz on crack. Doesn't that sound lovely?
Let's take a look at these things here. Yeah.
Oh,
So, Now, I have a vague curiosity about this because it looks like it could be very artistic and very well done. But I really don't have a heavy interest in this. So it's low, bordering on meh, which I'm sure it will be dragged down to meh because I have a feeling that you're going to give this a hell no, especially after that one. It's one of those that I guess I give it a low curiosity because it does look like one that would be a film study, maybe even one that could get a Criterion treatment later if it comes across as they have reported it on the back.
well, I have to admit, this is one that looks like it could be a hell no, but it also it sounds like it has elements that would interest me. I don't know that I have enough information. I feel like I need more information to go full on hell no on this one. So I'm going to give it a very low meh.
All right.
I may regret that. Okay. Next up, we have The Judge, Character, Cases, Courage. Which is apparently about Judge Robert R. Merhees Jr. I've heard of him a few times. This is following his appointment to the U.S. District Court in 1967. Judge Robert R. Merhees Jr. embarked on what can be conservatively described as a distinguished, momentous, and tumultuous 31-year tenure on the federal bench. He fought against the entrenched powers of the status quo to promote racial and gender equality, protect the environment, uphold the rule of law, and the U.S. Constitution. This is another Gravitas Ventures release, fairly low price by their standards.
Yeah,
only 17 apparently. I know very little about this film, but again, it falls into that category of a documentary that may be quite interesting. It may be well made, it may not be. I won't know till I see it, but there is certainly enough there to have me curious.
It's one of those, by the way, if you want to find it, if you type it into Amazon, you're just going to get the Robert Downey Jr. film.
Yeah.
So your best bet is to go through the Blu-ray.com
That's a
to
good
grab
film.
it. So just as a heads up for you all who are actually listening to looking at it, I give it a low curious. I like these type of things well enough. So, yeah.
Now, before you go on to the next one, I have to ask a question.
Yo.
Where is the fat man?
Indeed. Let's see here. All right.
There he is.
So, we covered this a little bit earlier, but I guess we were a little bit premature. I have seen people with this in December, but it was a very limited release.
Maybe it was a DVD release and they pushed back the Blu-ray. Does that sound right?
Maybe. Let me look here. DVD?
I think it was a DVD only when it first came out.
Also, well, yeah, yep, there was one. There was a DVD release in December 7th, but it was a foreign release. Oh, well, any case, Fat Man, we've covered it before. It looks entertaining. Mel Gibson in it, assassin hunting down basically Santa Claus in many cases. And it's one I want to get. I do. It's high on my list just because it looks highly amusing, though not something I'm going to get right away. Glad it's finally getting the wide release. So it's going to be a yes please for me, because I'm willing to wait for a while, but it's on my wish list. I've wish listed it.
I actually do have a hold on it through the library. We've actually ordered a copy or a couple. It'll probably, at the rate we're going, be months before I see it.
Yes.
But it is very much on my list. I think I said before that this whole concept amused me. So I'm going to still, I think I said yes, please, and I will still hold with that.
All right. Yeah, until we find out later.
Next up, we have Killing Bites, which is a show getting a release from Sentai Filmworks. A 12-episode anime. It looks, in a sense, to me, like maybe sort of a weird hybrid of Gwen Saga and Akame ga Kill, but probably not as good as the one is supposed to be and the other one is. I have never heard of this before, and I debated putting it on my list, but when it comes down to it, it's one of those ones that I'll buy when it's cheap enough. When it goes down to $7, I'll probably get it on a Sentai sale. So I'll give it a good, solid curious.
I need more info. Until I get more info on it, it's going to... Wait, I'll put this here. Is going to probably be a meh for me, believe it or not.
Okay.
That just doesn't interest me in the slightest. But I'm not going to say hell no to almost any anime. Right. It would have to be like really, really bad for me to do that. Right. But maybe I'll like it a lot later. All right, so for those of you who missed out, we had a nice set of Gamera stuff.
Indeed.
And there's actually 3 trilogies that are being released, but 2 of them are 3 movies sets that are being released. And then, of course, they're going to be releasing a standard version of the whole set. But if you like it and just like, let's say you're just into the Showa era of Gamera, you can, for $72, get the Showa era movies. And this has quite a few of the special features, again, from the set. All the stuff having to do with the actual ones. This is the original, like, I think, which ones are there? This is in the 1960s Gamera films. So we've got Gamera the Giant Monster, Gamera vs. Baragon, Gamera vs. Gaios, Gamera vs. Virus, Gamera vs. Girion, and Gamera vs. Jiger, and Gamera vs. Zigra, and Gamera the Super Monster. I still say
that's a good chunk of them.
Yeah, that's a good chunk. I still say that if you really want to nail the Gamera movies, I would go ahead and wait for the big release. But if you're a big fan of the early era Gamera and you don't really care for the newer stuff, this might be the way for it. And it is good box art. I mean, it is pretty nice, and it is a solid looking set. I've seen what it looks like. Arrow does a good job of it. It's not something that you have to rush out to get because it's not limited edition, and the regular stuff stays in print for a good while. So, you know. For me, because Gamera is high on the list, If I didn't have it and this was the only format it released on, I would probably say, yes, please.
I can agree with that.
All right.
I mean, I'm still kind of thinking I might try to get that complete collection eventually, the standard version. But this is still a cool looking set, even if it is
And we'll
not
be
as
discussing
impressive.
that soon as well.
Yeah.
But not this time.
Right. And next up, speaking of high quality stuff that everyone needs to get, of all the friggin' shows Discotheque could choose to put out, they chose Kiss This.
Don't they have
this is the OAD.
Don't they have the rights to Zetsubo Sensei?
No, I think it was Nozomi that put in the rights to that.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember right
somebody
now. What?
needs. I think somebody needs to release that series. Why is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Never mind. Sorry. Let you go.
Now I'm a little bit. There are a couple of different Kiss This series, and I think this is the OAD series. I think there was an actual TV series, and I don't know that one's been licensed yet, or if Discotheque has the license for both. But we're seeing this one. I think this is a first American release for this, but I've seen episodes of it. I think you had ripped it at some point, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's an ecchi series, to be sure, that plays heavily on a certain penchant in anime that Americans might find a little less than mainstream, unless they're in like Arkansas or certain places. I'm sorry, that was mean. But anyway, it's from what I saw, it's a fun series. I believe this was a favorite of George's, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's they're stepsisters, I guess. If you really want to.
Right. So kind of more like Please Twins than what you might imagine from the initial. I do want to get this eventually, just because it amuses me somehow that this is coming into print. But I really wish they would put something a little more. Well, we've got others coming out. Wait a minute. I just realized it. Neither of us. Wait, I'll wait. Maybe you've got it on your list. But anyway, there are a couple of Discotheque releases this week, and some of them are of a much higher quality. But this one just. I'm almost tempted to say yes, please. I'm almost tempted, but I can't. I feel like that's just wrong. So I'm going to go with curious.
So, this is the difference between current me and young me. Young me was overly interested in these types of series. But current me finds it borderline distasteful, and at best a meh, very close to a hell no, but at best a meh. Because it might find its way to my collection, and I wouldn't necessarily get rid of it. But but I wouldn't pay a lot for it if any. All right.
And yet you jumped out to get Aiken. Yeah.
Aiken was a so.
It was
bad,
a different kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's just so bad. It's good series. This one was actually taken more seriously by the people who watched it. So,
yeah,
So back to Gamera. This is the Heisei era, which is the 3 movies, I believe, the 90s movies. So we had Gamera, the Guardian of the Universe, Gamera 2, Attack of Legion, Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris, oh, never mind, and 4, Gamera the Brave. So, it's the later Gamera movies. Again,
Isn't that third set the 90s ones? Because I see 3 sets there.
let me see. This one is, and that's the Heisei trilogy.
It's never mind. So that's just a different
Yeah, it's just
version.
a different version of it.
Okay.
So, again, you get 4 films on this one. Again, I would rather get the full. I like Gamera. I think it's pretty cool. It's a fun for the kaiju set. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the last one. Here we go.
All right. But you should have got the matching sets for that one. But
I know
whatever.
I should have, but it is just what it is.
That's all right. That's all right. So anyway, next we have The Legend of Black Heaven, another discotheque release. I think it's an older one, if I'm not mistaken. I think it says here 99. So yeah, a little bit older, I guess. Hard Rock saves space? Question mark. Life can crush your dreams. Boji is a middle management drone whose only grip on sanity and the drudgery of his corporate lifestyle are the few shreds of hope surrounding his past life as the amazing guitarist of Black Heaven, a heavy metal band that almost made it. In his bleakest moment, the magic of performing is restored to him that only his special sound can save the universe from an evil alien invasion.
Dun dun dun.
Because reasons. This is another discotheque release, a series I honestly don't think I'd ever heard of before. It amuses me. It sounds like something that Tenacious D would have come up with in terms of the plot. And honestly, if they had done an English dub with Jack Black and Kyle Gass on that, I would have snapped it up in a heartbeat. Discotheque, why did you not do this? But it does sound amusing to me. I'll give it a curious.
I'm curious. It's a low curious, but I am curious about it. I'm not gonna say I don't have any interest. I like some of these. I don't know why the cover just puts me off.
Yeah, it didn't excite me either, but whatever.
Yep. All right. Speaking of, you were asking where all these discotheque ones were. So hey, here you go.
There you go.
Genocyber, one that I am pretty sure that you would most likely say hell no to, especially in a live action. Because this is back to those old days where splatter was the king in anime. And I
Isn't that
actually
lovely?
have this in a MechMasters set, which it's kind of a mecha slash horror slash, it's just there. It's not good, but there's a part of me that's glad that I have it. But there's also a part of me that if I didn't have it, I would probably not have paid to get it. And only reason why I think I would have paid what I did was because it had a full-on set of these types of series that it's kind of good to just have them. But watching them is an entirely different thing. So, with that being said, I will put this at a meh. Having seen, looked at it, it's one of those that, like I said, if it was live action, you'd probably say hell no.
Right. Based on what little I know, I think you're right about that. I do know this one by name. It's a very well-known one by name. And I believe it does have a reputation, but until you said that, I couldn't put my finger on what the reputation is.
There you go.
And even so, yeah. So I can't swear to this that I would never accept it. It's probably one I would be willing to have on the shelf but I may change my mind dramatically after an episode or two. I don't know.
Well, you got Megalopolis in there, so hey.
Yeah, well, no, I had to throw that one out for various reasons. I need to get that one again. um, I have to say, I can't go a solid hell no, but it's a very, very low meh.
Let's see, huh? Boom!
All right. Next up, we have a documentary called Nazrin, which is a documentary secretly filmed in Iran by women and men who risked arrest to make this documentary, an immersive portrait of the world's most honored human rights activist and political prisoner, attorney Nasrin Sotoudeh, and of Iran's remarkably resilient women's rights movement, etc., etc. I have heard of this individual. I have heard a little bit about some of the stuff that'll be covered in here. It's narrated by Olivia Colman, which is kind of cool. I'm very curious about this, and I can't really go yes, please, because I don't have more information than that. If it ends up an Oscar nominee, it will get bumped up, but for now, I'll go strongly curious.
See, for me, anything that shows that level, I mean, it's just like that one where they had it was a nominee, I believe, where, I think I talked about this last year, where the one where it was in Syria and all that, showing the level of danger that a lot of these people had to go through. It to me was it's worth putting as a yes please for me. If y'all were watching, I just threw it on my wish list, which is the definition of that. So yeah, I'm definitely
I'll be generous and leave it there.
But, actually, yeah, you would put curious. I was gonna put
we can leave it there because I do think it's one I'll at least make a point to see.
It's just the level of danger that they were in for putting it up and all that. It just to me, that spikes it up there for that alone. Because these are things that would never have gotten out if not for a lot of sacrifice.
All right, this is that discotheque one I was thinking of just a moment ago.
Hajime no Ippo, the fighting TV series. It had a release earlier on, but it is out of print and very expensive and very hard to get in all the pieces.
Was it Anime Works or ADV or who did the original release?
I can't remember, but it had a lot of pieces, and you had to pay an arm and a leg. It's like any. You had to pay an arm and a leg for some and next to nothing for others.
Yeah.
But it's a boxing anime, and of course this is part 1, and I believe part 2 is coming out in March. So you get some decent number of collected in there. I don't know a lot about it other than it's a boxing anime, and it's had some pretty decent reviews. I have a slightly higher than curious level interest in this because of where it stands historically, and the subject matter also interests me. I was exposed to boxing a lot when I was a young age. I even got to watch Riddick Bowe train when he was briefly heavyweight champion of the world, which was kind of cool.
Heavy champion.
Well, he was definitely very heavy. But so it's going to be on my wish list, so it's a yes please for me. It is like I say, it's a pretty high rated series, so yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I've heard a lot about this one over the years, and from what I understand, I feel like it's one that people often reference as a good sports anime or as a great sports anime. I could be remembering that wrong, but I feel like it is one that's often brought up in that conversation. And as you said before, this is definitely a budget way of doing it relative to the original release. And I definitely would like to get this one eventually, so... I'll give it a yes, please. It's not a strong yes, please. I'm not going to be like rushing out to get it, but
Oh, of course.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna say yes, please is for those wish lists titles,
right.
All right.
Next up, another Warner Archives one called The Pajama Game.
Yay.
It just stars Doris Day, and it's got songs by the Damn Yankees duo of Richard Adler and Jerry Ross, Bob Fosse choreography. You got directed by George Abbott, Stanley Donen, etc., etc. You got John Reid in there, Carol Haney. I'm going to be honest, I have very little interest in this. I just know it by name and reputation. I figure it wouldn't hurt to get it is one of the films Doris Day is best known for better or worse. So I'll give it a curious, but I wouldn't rush out to get it.
It's well, I mean, I wouldn't turn it away, but I'm not running out to get it or probably even paying a lot for it. But if I saw it like at the Dollar Tree or something, maybe.
Right.
So that would be kind of a meh for me. Not no. Not hello. I'd have to really change your mind for that one, and even I'd have to change my mind for that one.
Right.
All right, another Vinegar Syndrome.
Right.
You had just expressed some interest.
One I actually considered, yes.
Though it is not the one that it's not the Vincent Price one. Edgar Allan Poe's The House of Usher.
Mm-hmm.
Molly and her fiancé Ryan are vacationing in England, but when driving to visit Ryan's elderly uncle Roderick Usher at the secluded county manor, they have an accident and Ryan is left critically injured. After being rescued by Roderick's strange butler, Molly finds herself a prisoner in the crumbling mansion and slave to its diabolical staff. Even worse, it soon emerges that Roderick is a crazed madman determined to extend his family's dying bloodline and will stop at nothing, including torture and murder, to make Molly into his bride. So, such themes that you love so much in these types of movies.
Oh, yeah.
But as it is, I'm very fascinated by these types of films when they go into the crumbling manor houses, and it does have a connection to the Edgar Allan Poe's House of Usher story. So things that are worthwhile, check out. A lot of it looks like it's more tame when it comes to what they do.
Yes.
But still.
Lovely.
I don't know why it made me laugh, but
That sounds a little less tame.
Yeah. Still, theme-wise, seeing it is one that I have a high curious for.
And you didn't even mention one of the things that really caught my attention. It stars Oliver Reed and Donald Pleasance, and that's kind of intriguing. I'm going to have to go curious again from those images. I may regret that, but I am curious.
You'll rue the day you said curious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like some Poe, so Next up is one that I still really need to read the comics this is based on, and I really need to see the movie by Bong Joon-ho. But we have the complete first season of the show Snowpiercer, which stars Jennifer Connelly. You've also got Daveed Diggs, Mickey Sumner, and various other folks. It is. Yeah, that's all the info I've got here. It's basically 7 years after the world has become a frozen wasteland, centers on the remnants of humanity who inhabit a perpetually moving train, which circles the globe. and class warfare, social injustice, and the politics of survival play out in this riveting adaptation. Again, I still really need to see the movie. I'm blaming my brother for saying he wants to see it, never bothering to watch it. But I have trouble making time to just watch movies on my own. So it will happen. But in the meantime, I do want to see the show. I do want to get the show. I'm actually going to go yes, please, because if I see it for Black Friday for $10, I will get it. So
I'm debating on it. I've seen the movie. I've read some of the background stuff. I've never seen the series, even though I have the opportunity, because I do have the streaming platform to see it on.
Which one's it on?
I think it's on HBO. It could be wrong, though.
Oh, okay.
Because it's on one of them. I know it's on one of them. It's on one of the ones I have, but I have a lot of them. So, I mean, I've got like the HBO, I've got the Apple TV, I've got the Netflix, I've got Hulu, which is funny because I rarely watch any of them. But it's me and my wife share those, and she watches them more than I do.
Right.
But Snowpiercer was okay. It was okay. I like the concept. I like the class warfare dynamic. It was not one of the films that I would say is a priority to get, because if it was, I would have already gotten it. But it is on my list to eventually get, so I guess it's a low yes please for me.
Okay.
There you go. Low yes please. All right, this one was definitely added because I wanted to make up numbers. Because it didn't strike me. Adding something, I usually add something either because I really have a strong reaction of interest or a strong, I don't want to see this. This really didn't hit either. This sounds like it would hit some of our other associates, though. A fiendishly perverse blend of sleazy, sexy, and gory violence, written and directed by Carlos Puerto, with some uncredited assistance from producer and Spanish horror auteur Juan Piquer Simon. Satan's Blood is one of the highlights to the late 70s Spanish exploitation cinema. A skillfully constructed and elegantly photographed film that teases out its increasing macabre twists. Yeah, let's see. It looks interesting in some aspects, I guess. I mean, as is. A lot of stuff there, a lot of side stuff. Oh, that's cute. I like that. I always like the scary doll type stuff, you know? That's kind of creepy. But, yeah.
Lovely.
A nice family gathering there. So,
for kids.
I'm not all that interested in it. I'd say at best a meh from me. I wouldn't turn it down. They're all highly collectible in nature. And there's something about it, like, the Spanish element of it. I mean, we'll see stuff from Mexican cinema occasionally, but we don't see, like, pure out Spanish cinema stuff like this. So it would maybe be worth having in the collection. I'm not sure, though. I'll seek it out.
There's stuff that caught my attention, but the pieces connection and a couple of those images make that a solid hell no.
All right, well, it stays where it is. All right.
Okay. Next up, we have another Arrow release from a Virginia native. Richard Kelly got a movie called Southland Tales. I did not realize this was a Richard Kelly film. It somehow never occurred to me to pay any attention to it. But we have The Rock with Sean W. Scott and Sarah Michelle Gellar. And that is an intriguing cast. During a 3-day heat wave just before a huge 4th of July celebration, an action star stricken with amnesia meets up with an adult star who is developing her own reality TV project and a policeman who holds the key to a vast conspiracy. You also got Mandy Moore in there, Curtis Armstrong, some other folks. Like I said, written and directed by Richard Kelly. I am intrigued by this. It looks like something that I would be intrigued to get from the appearance. I guess this is an American release.
Well, it's got
it doesn't
post-apocalyptic elements to it as well.
right.
Odd futuristic elements.
Good time. Well, you figure with Richard Kelly, there's going to be some odd elements to it. This is. I can't quite go yes, please on this, but I am strongly curious.
All right, I am a little curious on it. I'm not
Okay.
like super like into it, but it's not like one that I'm gonna be no to.
Right.
All right, so moving on. All right, Sorceress Stabber Orphan Season 1. This is All Things Old Are New Again.
Indeed.
And there's a part of me that is very intrigued by this because the original source material was okay. It wasn't too bad. It's fairly, it's got classic status as far as things
Yeah.
go.
Had a hell of a theme song.
And but it's a resurgence of that. So,
Right.
For what it is, I'm very curious. I'm not necessarily, but then again, I guess it gets upgraded for me because I do have the original material and I do have that thing there I have to figure out eventually to collect all of it. I gotta get them all.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a yes please for me just because I'll eventually have to get it, but because I have the original stuff, but it's low on my yes please list.
I do have the original series, and again, I love the theme song, but I never have actually watched the show. And from what I've heard, it's an okay show. And from what I've heard, the new one's an okay show. So I'll give it a curious, but I can't really give it much more than that.
I would have given it a curious on its own if it wasn't something I felt like I had to complete.
Right.
But you know me on
All
that.
right. Next up, we have a deluxe edition release of The Swimmer from Grindhouse Releasing. This is a film from '68. Sidney Pollack directing. Oh, I forgot about that. And Frank Perry with stars Burt Lancaster, Janice Rule, Kim Hunter, Charles Drake, etc., etc. And from what I understand, it's about a guy who goes swimming. In suburban Connecticut, a handsome advertising executive heads home by swimming from pool to pool through his neighborhood. Along the way, more of his life story is revealed via his complicated interaction with the neighbors. I imagine it would be a complicated interaction with some neighbors if random dudes start swimming in their pool. I know this one a little bit by reputation. I definitely heard of it before. And again, Burt Lancaster, Sidney Pollack, you got a pretty impressive pedigree there. But, overall, it doesn't interest me extraordinarily. I'll give it a curious, but that's it.
I was going to give it a meh, especially with the way you described it. But I was reading it, and they say like a feature-length Twilight Zone episode, which does make me wonder. I mean, the description that they have on Amazon is in this finest performance, Burt Lancaster stars as Ned Merrill, a man who confronts his destiny by swimming home, pool by pool, through the suburban nightmare of upper-class East Coast society. And it's based on the John Cheever short, which and directed by Frank Perry, and Mommy Dearest is definitely a very intense film. So, I mean, again, it's more intriguing when I read that. So I will go
Right.
with Curious.
Okay.
All right. Tales of the Uncanny. I love this cover. It kind of gives that like Tales of the Crypt look to it. You got like all this
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, isn't that lovely?
It's just kind of got that old school, like old comic feel to it.
Severin release, huh?
So, you know, some very interesting stuff here. So, when COVID-19 hit, Severin Films chief David Gurley, the House of Psychotic Women author Kayla Janice decided to ask their industry friends which top 5 films and segments would make the ultimate horror anthology. The result became an international Zoom-enabled documentary featuring Eli Roth, Joe Dante, Greg Nicotero, Mark Hartley, Mick Garris, Ernest Dickerson, Joko Anwar, Ramsey Campbell, David Dicoto, Kevin Newman, Jovanka Vukovic, Luigi Cosi, Tom Savini, Jen Wexler, Larry Fessenden, Richard Stanley, Brian Tricard Smith, Brian Usna, Gary Sherman, Rebecca McKendry, and Roger Corman.
And Adele Dazeem.
So, you know, and also to include the rarely seen 1919 compendium Eerie Tales and the thought-lost 1949 French-Belgian anthology Histories Extraordinaires / Unusual Tales. This has a lot together for me. One, I do love the fact that you've got this kind of put together thing. It's a very so it's a very 2020, and also the fact that it does look at horror history. I mean, even going far back as 1919, that's very intriguing. It's on my it's not on my list right now, but it is going there. So, with that being said, obviously you know what I'm putting it at. I love film history, and I like the history of any type of films, be they horror, be they anything else. Looking back through really cool segments, really cool aspects of recent and old school horror, that right there cements it as a yes please for me.
So this is more of a conversation, almost a documentary, than necessarily the films, or
yeah, I think it is more of that with the segments of the films intertwined in between.
I suppose I could go Curious with that.
Right.
I mean, again, I may regret it, but it does sound intriguing.
Hey, that 1919 and that 1949 right there, that would be worth it right there.
Right. So next up, we have a confusing one, because Symphogear G Season 2 is not Season 2 of Symphogear G. It's sequel to Symphogear. I had forgotten that first series, and I was... So anyway, another discotheque release about Symphogear G. And I don't really know much about this series, although I know it well by name. This is one that is a 2013 vintage, apparently, the early 20-teens. So I think this is the first American release. Obviously, the first series came out previously, but not too long ago. Discotheque trying to catch some of the stuff that fell through by the wayside. It's one I know by name. It's one I'm vaguely interested in. I can give it a strong Curious.
All right. I'll give it a low Curious. Not really much interest in it, but
Right.
at the same time, for the right price, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right, The Theater Bazaar. It's one I have seen, and it's a pretty good horror anthology film. Again, you have to kind of like what's there. It's a re-release of this, obviously. I want to say, is that Vinegar Syndrome again? No, Severin. All right. Concept was unpredicated, at least, and the 7 of horror's most transgressive filmmakers: Douglas Buck, hey, that Family Portraits guy, Buddy Giovianoso, Combat Shock, David Gregory, Plague Town, Carmen Hossein, Subconscious Cruelty, Jeremy Katzen, The Attic Expedition, Splatter FX legend Tom Savini, and others. Lots of great, cool stuff. I enjoyed it. I need to get a hold of it. It's on my list to definitely get. I thought I had it, but I guess I was wrong. I thought I had the original release, and it took me a while before I could actually remember, because I did really like it. There's the original cover of the last release. But this might be the way to get it, and it does look good. Looks like they did a good job with it and cleaned it up some more. So for me, it's a yes, please. Right there.
So you seen this one?
Yeah.
Does it have anything particularly
It's on the borderline.
bad?
It'd be on the borderline for you. You've seen worse and lived through it.
Well, that's not always saying much. I'll go meh.
All right. So down to curious.
Okay.
We're almost done.
And almost. We got one more each, I believe.
Yes.
And next we have The Ascent, a film by Larissa Shepiko. The crowning triumph of a career cut tragically short, Larissa Shepiko's final film won the Golden Bear at the 1977 Berlin Film Festival, went on to be hailed as one of the finest works of late Soviet cinema. In the darkest days of World War II, 2 partisans set out for supplies to sustain the beleaguered outfit, braving the blizzard-swept landscape of Nazi-occupied Belarus. When they fall into the hands of German forces and come face to face with death, each must choose between martyrdom and betrayal, in a spiritual ordeal that lifts the film's earthy drama to the plane of a religious allegory. 1977 feature has a decent number of special features, including a short film by the director. A short film by Shepiko and a Elim Klimov has a couple of works on there as well. I think they were a couple, apparently, Klimov and Shepiko. So it sounds interesting to me. It's not one that I would rush out to get, but I do want to see more Soviet cinema. It is a well-known and acclaimed film, and it can definitely sit nicely on the yes please. It might not get picked up right away, but I'll get there.
Yeah, Soviet cinema is much like Nazi cinema for me. It's kind of one of those things that I am very, very strongly curious about. And in a way, it kind of is cool because both are produced in a time, the Nazi cinema even less time managed than the other one, because Soviet had a lot longer time, but in a time frame and under a culture that no longer exists, really. So that is a cool thing to have. So I will leave it on the yes please. It's not one I'm going to rush out to get, but maybe if I'm looking for it, because sometimes I like that odd man out for the Criterion sales, and this would be on that list.
Right.
All right. Last but not least, Lupin the Third, Casa Cagliostro is getting a 4K release. I just upgraded this to Blu-ray not long ago, so I'm probably not going to be getting the 4K release, but I do like that it is getting it. It's the one film that Miyazaki had directed. So one could say, if you are a Miyazaki fan, this is a must for you. If you're a Lupin fan, this is a must for you. So this is a must on all rounded.
If you're an anime fan, it's a must for you.
So, beautifully animated, well written, and excellently scored. This is one of the better Lupin films. I'm not going to say the best because I haven't seen them all, but it is definitely high up in that mix. So,
and you'll want to mention, obviously, because you love your English stuff, that apparently this has 3 different English dub tracks.
Yeah, it has an odd history with the dubbing. This is a reason why this is my only reason to eventually get this, believe it or not. Because the Blu-ray release does not have all of the dub tracks. So I have multiple releases of this. So it might be one of those I get just to combine them. That makes sense. Because that's the thing. That's the sad thing, is when they kind of redub. I like having the original track. I think it's my favorite of the tracks. But they don't do a bad job with the other releases as well. So with that being said, it is a priority regardless. If I didn't have this already, it would already be bought.
Right.
But I do have it, so I can wait. But it's going to be... I probably will upgrade in the future. If I have some extra money, I probably will throw it as an upgrade. That way I can get rid of my multiple editions and just keep the one.
Right.
But it's worth having. If you like any of those, I would say it's a priority for almost anybody.
Right.
Well, actually, I don't know. Is it a priority for you?
It is. I actually have an old DVD copy of this, so I will be upgrading eventually. And this looks like a really good way to upgrade it. So I did not pre-order it, and I won't be getting it right away. But if I didn't have it sitting on DVD, I probably would have. So I will cheat and claim that it's a priority, but it is. It's an essential film, and this is a good way to get it. Huh?
That's the concept. I like to look at it as if you have an edition of this. If you didn't have it already,
right.
How would you look at it?
Right.
Because some of our viewers here, they don't know what we would have thought about this if we didn't have it already.
Right.
So we actually got it. We actually got an agreement for priority. That's not bad.
We saved that for last.
We got
now, I love how the theme of Ascension starts and ends or bookends the Yes Please category.
Yes,
that's kind of appropriate.
I think we had a pretty good amount here, so let's take a look at what's left out. We had, like, Nambaka got kind of delayed back again, you've got
Norman Reedus doing a motorcycle documentary.
I've seen a couple episodes. It's, if you like that sort of thing, then you're good. But, nothing huge here. But some fun stuff. Silent Madness, Trafficked, some fun stuff. But with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this. Of course, hit that like button if you like this. Subscribe and share. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.